And hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Master Random the podcast. Before I go to the sponsorship, once again, episode 200 coming up real quick this August. And if you are interested in joining us for the live show for episode 200, hit me up on the DMs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and I can give you more details on how to join us for the live show. It's gonna be awesome. We got some cool stuff planned, and the night it's gonna be a podcast, but more of a celebration of 200 episodes of the support that everyone is given, and this is sort of the give back for all the years of doing the podcast. And that's about it for that. Don't forget to leave a rating and review if you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast app. The ratings really help on the Apple charts, and the reviews, it also helps too, because especially people who are listening to the podcast for the first time, they get a sense of what to expect by your reviews that you leave. And when you do leave a review, Maddie B will read it on the podcast, and yeah, it'll be awesome. So thank you for doing that if you decide to do so. This episode is brought to you by Addis Mortuary. They are a small family-owned and operated mortuary that has been serving this local island community for over 45 years, 47 years to be exact, providing the top-of-the-line funeral and cremation services during a time when it's absolutely needed the most. If you're looking for more information on these services or pre-need plans take the burden off of your family in the event of your untimely death. It takes care of everything from the funeral service to this casket to everything that you see the way your funeral would go in the time of your passing. It's an awesome way to lay the burden off of your family so that they can grieve in the proper way without having to worry about the finer details, stuff that would be basically taken care by you, I should say. For more information, contact them at 477-1311 or visit the mortuary at South Route 4 Sinahanya. Right after you get past the gas stations in Sinanya, going down towards Ordet, it's on your left-hand side. No way you can miss it. Addis Mortuary, they're big enough to serve, yet small enough to care. Now, my next guest on the show, she was on the show maybe about a couple of years ago, and in the untimely passing of her husband Frank, she decided to go into grief recovery and follow the grief recovery method. Darlene Garcia, her evolution from the time of her husband's passing to today in helping so many people with the grief recovery method. She is now an advanced grief recovery specialist, life coach, and just an extremely kind-hearted, positive person. Incredible podcast. I got the chills a couple times during the podcast, just thinking about how grief isn't only with the passing of somebody or in death. Grief, we constantly grieve all the time. It can be in different forms. It can be the loss of a job. It can be financial grief. It can span a whole entire spectrum that I didn't realize. Even when we did talk about it the first time, we go completely even deeper on this episode. So awesome conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. I definitely did. Darlene Garcia on the podcast, Master Random. Check it out. We're good? Yeah. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back.
Right. And you've been through, I feel like your journey since your last time you were here, you've been through a lot of different kinds of things. Yeah, I see you on social media with like going to conferences and being out in the States long term now?
Right. Yeah. So I actually live out there now.
Okay.
And, when people ask, well, where do you stay? And I'm like, well, I'm in the East Coast. And, truly I have a base with my brother, but I'm all over. Like, I can't just say that I'm here in Virginia or in DC because when people see me, I'm in the West Coast or, I'm up in Canada or I'm in England or I'm here, so I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been, gosh, when was I on last?
Couple years, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so. That end of 2017, I think.
Yeah, around then. Yeah, definitely.
I think it was the end of 2017.
Yeah, and you were getting into the grief recovery stuff. You had just maybe a few months prior completed the grief recovery method.
Okay.
And then and so now where are you with that? How has that evolved for you?
Yeah, so since then I've actually gotten 2 additional certifications with the Grief Recovery Institute. So I'm an advanced specialist, and in fact this month since I've been here, we've been doing a lot of just media coverage, just to try and get more exposure. But I also came here because I'm launching actually the 2-day weekend workshop, which is nice. The last certification that I just got with them.
And that's to certify other people?
No, it's just to deliver the method in a different setting, right? Okay. So the basic program is an 8-week group program or a 7-week one-to-one program. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that can be a little bit long-winded for people, right? You go for 1 hour or 2 hours, depending on if you're going by yourself or with a group.
Right.
So for this one, it really gives people an opportunity to just do a whole weekend, focus on themselves and their healing. It's very emotionally
without having to travel 1,000 miles.
Right, exactly. Or you can. I mean, people could come from the States and come here if they wanted to do it, right? I mean, and they could do that too. But yeah, I wanted to bring it here to the island because, to your point, people don't have to travel. We're providing them another option to be able to heal their hearts, if you will. And then this is also going to allow me to then also go out to the other islands. So we're going to go to Saipan in November, and then eventually get to the other islands, Palau, Ponape, all those other different islands around us.
Right.
Yeah,
because everybody grieves, right?
Right, exactly. It's global.
Yeah,
for sure.
Are you finding any cultural taboos associated with grief that you're noticing between at least like the States and here on Guam? Being a tight knit community. Does that sort of make sense? Because sometimes to grieve is people don't want to express that grief, right? And that's sort of that taboo about like, wow, I just kind of understand what you're going through, but and so are you noticing any cultural differences?
I think well, definitely we want to be able to we definitely want to understand different cultures and how they deal with grief or not deal with grief.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But at the end of the day, it's all the same thing.
Okay.
So the last time when I came on the show, I think I talked a little bit about some of the myths of grief, the things that we grew up believing was the proper way to grieve, right? Like in our culture, it is to be strong or be strong for others, be strong for your kids, be strong for your family. And we think that that's cultural on the island. And yes, we are a strong people and that is what we're taught, but it's everywhere.
Really?
Every single culture has their own way of saying, be strong. The other one is grieving alone, right? You said it's taboo. So you just got to do it by yourself.
Right.
And again, that comes back to the being strong piece or, don't embarrass the family. These are things that you're supposed to deal with on your own and not like tell everyone your drama, right? You hear that kind of stuff going on. Right.
Especially now we have social media, right? So it's much easier to express yourself than what oneself is going through.
Right, for sure. So, so that grieving alone, again, that is global, but how different cultures explain it to their people can vary. But it all comes down to the same things. The myths around grief or the things that we grew up believing keeps us stuck. And it's universal. That's why it doesn't matter where I go. And that's what I love about what I do, because I think I'm unique as a grief recovery specialist in that I travel and I do this work. Most people get certified and stay in their little hometown and do the work
kind of like their side job,
right,
or side hobby.
Yes.
This one, you've like really taken it on full.
Yes. And I do it around, because, you know, for me, again, you bring up culture, and I want to be able to understand like other people's cultures. And if there is something else that's different than what I'm teaching and it's challenging and I'm not able to get through because of cultural, you know, differences, I want to know that. I want to learn that.
Right. Because one of those workshops can easily have 20 different cultural backgrounds or ethnic backgrounds associated with the same subject.
But I get amazed every single time, because it doesn't matter if you're male or female, if you're Chamorro, if you're American, if you're, you know, Chinese, whatever your beliefs are as far as religion, everybody grieves, everybody hurts. It's a human experience. And at the end of the day, that's what we share, is our human emotion. So far, I haven't found any culture yet that has challenged me in being able to deliver this method, and people are not getting it. Everyone walks out transformed and feeling lighter and understanding grief at a whole nother level than they ever thought was possible. So, you know, it just validates to me every single time that this method works. It doesn't matter who you are.
Being a specialist and now looking at not, I don't want to say objectively, but on the different spectrum than you were when you first entered the method, right? Yeah. Now you went from being the one who was helping, you know, not get over grief, but grieve, and then now you've stepped out of that box and placed yourself into being the one who helps others. Yeah. And so it's, where was I going with that question? So, where was I going with that?
My life evolved, right? Because when you first saw me, I was still kind of very like not stuck, but I was still very much grieving. Right? I think I got a little bit emotional. Yes. Right? Yeah. During the last time that we were together. And I still get emotional. I mean, you know, Frank was, you know, the love of my life for 25 years,
longer
right?
Than he's been.
Yeah, long
past.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. And so, but yes, I definitely have grown. And really my healing has gotten to a whole other level that you're right. I am able to go out there now, truly help others in a different capacity, because I've got so much passion now. Not that I didn't in the beginning.
But you're able to be objective about it. Is that where I was going with that? I think that's where I was going with that. With that last statement, it was, you know, like I was looking for another word besides objective, but really standing outside of grief now. And looking in, right? Because you have the tools to be able to mold and shape the way people can grieve,
right? And I've got so much more confidence as well, because I've helped so many people, and so far I've not had anyone tell me this stuff doesn't work. And so, you know, just builds up that credibility for others to come to me, and then builds up my confidence to know that, tell me your grief. It's not going to surprise me. It's not going to make me feel like, oh, damn, I'm not going to be able to help you. Yeah. I always look for a challenge.
We got a rare case over here.
Right. It's like, you know what? Bring it on. Right. Because you're human. I'm human.
That's powerful, Dark.
Yeah. Unless you come from a different species, man.
Right. Unless you're from space.
Right. But, you know, other than that, it's like, I believe that I can help you. Like, you know, last night we had a grief talk, and I told everybody, I said, I'm very positive that I can help you. Come to my 2-day workshop. I have 3 seats left. I told them this last night. I said, because I can guarantee you. Like, that's how confident I am in this method, you know?
That's pretty amazing.
It is. But you know what? But it's also sad, because there's a lot of people out there that I know, that you know, that are not ready, you know? And I asked a friend of mine the other day, and I said, what are you not ready for? I'm just curious. She didn't have the answer. She's like, I'm not sure.
Is it letting go? Could it be the fear of letting go of the memory of somebody because you take that first step outside of outside of that little circle that you put or that wall that you built around yourself?
Well, there's a couple of different things that people fear is definitely a huge one. They do fear that. I hear that a lot is if I stop grieving, I'm gonna stop remembering them, and they don't want to ever stop remembering them. I'm like, how do you forget your loved ones? That is impossible. Number one. The other one is they feel guilt, right? And I teach a whole different definition of guilt in my programs, but people use that word a lot. I feel guilty if I am happy, if I find joy in my life because my loved one is no longer here. The rest of my family is still grieving. And if I find happiness, then I'm going to feel guilty. And I don't think I deserve it, so that those are some of the things.
Worried about the opinion of others.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But the other thing that people don't really recognize until they come into the program is the familiarity, the change that they will go through again in their life. So especially someone that has been grieving for a long time, now this grief that they're going through in their life, whether they're still in this dark place, they're sad, they're angry, whatever emotions that they're feeling, that now becomes their normal. People say their new normal, right? Again, they're labeling these things. So this is my new normal. I don't know how to get out of my new normal. It's going to change for me, and I don't like change. People don't really get that until they come into the program, and I give them a definition of grief, which is the conflicting feelings caused by the change of or end of a familiar pattern of behavior.
So you can grieve not only over death, but over maybe like losing your job. You're
right.
Grieving. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, again, just even the grief, the feelings of grief in general, people get so comfortable in it. They don't think that they are, but they are because they've been doing it for so long that now they don't know how to get away from it. It became familiar to them. And so now it's like, oh, I don't know. This is my life now. I'm just going to accept it as is.
Right.
You don't have to. Life, I told them last night, I said, you have one life to live. Why are you going to sit for the rest of your life being miserable, being sad, being brokenhearted? You will always miss your loved one. That will never change. But that doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in a sad, dark place. You could miss them. You could be sad when you have those moments come up, but still enjoy life.
Especially if you're much, much younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you say that. Like grief encompasses a whole bunch of things, but also it doesn't discriminate how old you are.
Yeah.
You can be 99 years old or you can be 15 years old.
Right. Yes, exactly. Thank you for bringing up the youth, because we grieve as children, and a lot of times as adults, we minimize what our kids go through, and we think that they're so resilient that they're going to bounce back. But the truth is they're not as resilient as we think they are, right? This is why we have so much depression and anxiety hitting our younger folks.
Mental
more
health.
And more. Yeah. Suicide is hitting them younger and younger all the time. It's because our kids are not as resilient as we think that they are. They're actually a lot more fragile because they haven't fully developed that wisdom around how do you deal with these type of very challenging or tough human emotion.
Right. And when first thing that comes to mind is maybe societal dependency.
Yeah. Yes. It's so big these days with social media, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I don't have enough likes. I'm going to take that post down and then put another one up so I can get more likes. And it's like, why? Like, who cares?
Yeah. Who cares if it has 6 likes? And someone goes by and they're like, oh, they only got 6 likes.
Right. It's just like, you have to ask yourself, what are you putting it up for? Right? If you're putting it up because you have an intention to inspire others, then let it be that you're inspiring the 6 people that liked it, right? Or even one person. But if you're there because you're intentionally wanting to be popular, it's the wrong reasons, because now you're depending on society to dictate your worth.
Right.
So that's actually going to lead me to what I've also been doing other than grief, which is my self-love mission.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually a life coach now.
Nice.
And,
I've actually delved into the thought of wanting to become a life coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the most positive person, but I feel like I've learned how to put things in perspective into my life that or or a part of my life that maybe I can shed and help, other people put in perspective into their life. And that's something that you don't have to like be face to face. It can be online across the world.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that's what I love about that piece of what I do now, is because my clients are global. My grief clients are global too, but I prefer to have my grief clients in person. Because of, the very sensitive, emotional,
well, you can feel the emotion when you're face to face.
Yes. And so the life coaching clients, a little bit different, right?
How did you get into it, first of all?
It was really more on personal development for me.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to understand my grief clients better. And so I thought that if I went and did some sort of training around life coaching, that I could understand the human behavior better. And it was so interesting. But there's so many life coaches out there. So I'm like, you know what? Life coaching is like so general and broad. So I needed to focus on something that was a little bit more of a niche, right?
So it's like a discipline with a focus.
Yes, right. Yeah. And it was kind of by accident that I stumbled across self-love, because it was really about me first, trying to find my identity, right? I've always been known as Mrs. Frank Garcia. I've always been known as a wife.
Interesting.
And I didn't know what a widow was. What does that entail, right? I know I'm a mom. I know I'm a grandma. I know that role. I didn't know how to just be Dar. And so I started to journey down this road of self-discovery, and I started to realize that I didn't like myself very much. And so I had to really like dig deep and do a lot of reflection and personal development on my part to get myself to a place of truly loving myself in an unconditional way. And that's a tough thing to do.
Right. And you mentioned there was a lot of things that you didn't like about yourself. Was it that you were lying to yourself about these things that you liked about yourself, and then you figured it out? Or it was just like, shit, I didn't even notice I like that. I did like that.
I think
because lying to ourselves is one of the biggest things. Like, if there's anybody we lie to, it's to ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
The most.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, or wife that you lie to, but we lie to ourselves.
All the time.
100%.
100%. For sure. And, the things that I didn't like about myself were really just things that I think...
you don't have to go into specifics.
No. Yeah. But I mean, I could share some. It's like being a wife, being a mom, as a woman, I think in general, it's so funny because I was just looking at a post on Facebook before I walked in here. It talked about a lot of these scars that we bear as women and all of the different examples. And so much of it hit on the nail with me and my own personal journey. And we give up so much of ourselves for our families. The women are the heart of their families. So naturally, we're going to uplift, we're going to inspire, we're going to nurture everyone around us. And many times as women, we're going to forget about our true selves, right? And so when I started to dive into who I really was or who I wanted to be or become, I had to look at who I was first, right? And it's just like, I was... Can I say bad words on
Of course.
I was a bitch in my former corporate life. I didn't treat my coworkers or my employees very well a lot of years throughout that journey. Even as a mom, I feel like there was a lot of things that I could have done better as a mom in how I treated my kids growing up and how I raised them, and now their belief system and what they think or what they believe now. And, as everything, as a sister, as a daughter, you look back and you reflect, right? And yes, I do have a lot of regrets about what I did, but I needed to forgive myself and I needed to let go of all of that. So that's all grief.
Acceptance.
Right?
Right.
And then I needed to now build myself from the bottom up, right? So I was like, okay, well, I was all those things, but I'm not that person anymore. And in order for me to get to a place where I want to be, I have to love myself first. Yeah. And so I discovered that through my self-love journey that there's different bodies that we encompass as one person. It's our physical body, right? So you have to take care of your physical person first, because if we don't love ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, not just nutrition or working out, but it's just truly even just loving yourself to the point where when you're going to eat because you love the food that you eat. You have a relationship with your food. I know it sounds weird, but if you're eating because you think, God, I got to lose weight, and you hate what you're eating, it's crap. It doesn't even matter. It's like your body senses that, and it's not even going to absorb the nutrients the way you want it to. And I bet a lot of people don't know that. Love your food. Have a relationship with it. I don't care if it's chips.
Right.
You know? So that was one thing that I had to learn. The other thing was the mental body of ours, right? So our brain, our mind controls so much of everything. And that's why mental health is such a huge thing these days, right?
And it was a highly ignored thing.
It was,
back in the day.
And so when you allow your mind to dictate all of the bodies, it can really damage you to the core. And so I had to learn. Remember, we talked a lot about mindfulness, right? And meditation on our first talk, because you need that. Part of your being healthy in your mental space is having that awareness of everything around you, right? And the intention of what you're doing.
Right.
The other part was the emotional piece, which I deal with on grief on a daily, right? So that's the heart. And I knew that already, so I didn't really have to dive too much in that piece. But the emotional piece is the piece that a lot of people ignore. And so when I'm helping my clients
they almost become dead inside.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So in my self-love program, the emotional being is one that is very weak for a lot of people. And that's one that I have to help them through.
Considered weak by...
ignoring their emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, ignoring their emotions, trying to mask it, numb it. And it's interesting because that's what I do in grief anyway. So it's easy for me to kind of navigate that piece. And then the last one is the spirit. Doesn't matter what you believe, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's a higher being. Faith is seeing without, it's believing without seeing, right?
The faith of it, have the faith in it.
Right. So you have to have a healthy spiritual body. You have to have faith in something or someone. And so I teach people about that as well. And how do you connect with your spiritual self? And one of the things that I discovered.
But you're not focused on religion and stuff like that. It's just really.
Never.
You ever been to Thailand?
Yes, I have. I love
how
that.
spiritual.
Yeah. In fact, I want to go back there. It's Thailand and India that I really want to go to when it comes to mindfulness, meditation, yoga, things like that, because they're very, very in tune with that.
Yeah.
With that body.
Yeah, I was in Chiang Mai and I felt it. It was the Lantern Festival and you just felt the spirit.
I wanted to go there. When did you go there?
I went there back in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Frank died. It's in the fall sometime, right?
The November.
Yeah, that's what
End
I
of
thought.
November.
Yeah, so that's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Truly, I am going
literally
there.
For about 7 hours, this lantern's going up. And when it first starts, you see about 5,000 lanterns just go up at one time. From small ones to really huge ones. You see big groups, maybe like 5 or 6 people. You know, they let go a lantern.
Yeah.
I was by myself, so I let go of my own lantern, and someone's like, "You want me to take your picture while you do it?" I was like, "Yeah." I even have it on my Instagram and stuff like that.
That
and
is
it's
cool.
super spiritual, and it's you can just feel the energy. I'm a big proponent of energy.
Right. No, I am too.
You can, when I feel it, I feel it.
Yep.
You know, and I know when the energy's bad, I walk away from it too.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you ever been to Sedona, Arizona?
No.
It's a place you got to visit. They're huge on energy. They believe that energy is coming out of the ground there, and it's causing the trees to twist. It's called vortex. It's called vortexes. Vortexes. If you want to confirm that, Maddie, in Sedona, vortexes.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is where all the energy is spewing out. So it's a huge place for people to go and meditate. Do outdoor yoga and stuff like that. Even there where they collect all the gems and all quartz and stuff like that. You go into those places. They're very, very huge on that. And even the lady I was talking to in the shop, we went. Me and my family went into the shop, and once we looked at each other, we just connected right there. And I was just like,
wow, that is super cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, it sounds like some hippie shit, but it's like it's real for me. Man.
Yeah, no, it's important. I think it's so important. You know, one of the things that I discovered on my spiritual journey was my connection with Frank. And when I started to strengthen my spiritual body, I could feel him and hear him so much more than I ever have And I think that is amazing. And to your point, the energy that you can exchange with other people, a lot of times we have this blockage, right? And we do that because of fear, and we're not in tune with our emotions because that's what we were taught, right?
Yeah.
But when you are in tune, and that's the thing about it, I was talking to my sister the other day and I was really emotional. And she's like, it's really different to see you this way because, before Frank died, I was never an emotional person. And so, just to see me in that manner, she was like, you're so in touch with your emotions now that, just kind of anything, right? And it's not a trigger of like you're triggering bad things out of me. It's just when I'm feeling hurt about something or, happy, everything is like magnified with me, right? If like I'm super happy, I'm very happy, when I'm sad, I'm really sad. And so like my emotions are so like intense. Doesn't matter what it is because I'm so in tune with it.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that's scary. They don't want to deal with it because they think that they're going crazy. Something's wrong with them. Something wrong with you.
You think if they were alone and by themselves, they would be more open to it? Or is it just sort of a self-awareness kind of deal? That it wouldn't matter whether they're around people or not around people.
Yeah. So if you get to a point of self-love, it wouldn't even matter who was around you.
Right.
You would totally be in touch with your emotions regardless and not give a crap what other people think.
Right.
I mean, it's not that you're going to be a narcissist or you're going to, just to be, rude about it, but you have to, like just acknowledge and give yourself permission to feel whatever that is and not have to worry about how uncomfortable you're making other people.
Right.
They're uncomfortable in their own skin.
Because I can imagine
the with you.
the older generation would be like, I like tell her to go inside and she's scaring the kids.
Right. Exactly. Tell her to right. No, dude, that is so true. Oh my God.
I just want to show you this because this is really cool.
This is Sedona?
Yeah, this is Sedona, Arizona. It's in a canyon, and it's a very it was so the Indians that lived there. Indians. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say Indians. Native Americans that lived there. The Native Americans that lived there, they didn't live there. They lived outside, so it was considered this like very ceremonious, sacred space. And so basically it's swirling centers of energy that are conducive to healing, meditation, and self-exploration. These are places where the earth seems especially alive with energy, and many people feel inspired, recharged, or uplifted after visiting a vortex. We went through the canyon on this. If you do go to Sedona, I recommend the big Jeep tours, or pink Jeep tours, and when we left Sedona, I felt you just feel alive. You ever been in a salt cave?
Yeah.
You ever came? Matt, you remember when we went into salt? Everyone was asking when we went to like the store. Where did we go? Tommy's Pizza. Yeah. We went to Tommy's Pizza right after the salt cave. Everyone was like, "You guys look pretty refreshed. You just take a shower?" Like, nah, dude. We spent the last hour in a freaking salt cave.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
But what made you guys want to go there to Sedona?
So I've been there I used to live in Tucson for 5 years, and I visited Sedona with a girl I used to date, and I didn't get to experience that aspect of it, but I just remember how beautiful it was, and I wanted to take my current girlfriend and my sister there, and so we went up there, and that we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? I was like, let's go into the canyon. Instead of hiking, let's go ride these Jeeps. And
cool.
So you go to like different spots. They tell you what things look like, the names of different areas and stuff like that. It was really awesome.
Particular time of year that you would recommend?
We went in. When did we go?
I mean, because it gets really
I think we went
there.
end of November, December is when we went.
Oh, okay, so it was cool.
Yeah, it was nice and cool. It was perfect.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, definitely going to be on my bucket list. That's super cool.
Yeah, and it's a real huge place for meditation and stuff like that. But yeah, you can read more into the vortexes. It's not called vortices. When it's plural, they call it like vortexes.
Yeah. Wow, that's super. Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before we just wanted to bring that up before it got lost in the ether of conversation. But yeah, before the TV came on, we were mentioning how the older generation was, that sort of that style. It's like, hey, go inside because she's freaking everyone out.
Yeah.
Or he's freaking everyone out.
Or they'll tell you, stop crying because you're going to make yourself sick. Right?
Superstition.
Yeah. Truly complete opposite is what needs to happen. Because if we stuff it, you ever
Where do you think it comes from, though?
I honestly have no idea, because it's generation after generation after generation. Like, we can't fault our parents or their parents or their parents' parents, because it's been going on for, thousands of years, I want to say. I don't know where it actually came from. I mean, I'm thinking, shit, God created us with human emotion. Why then do us human beings try and stuff it up, disregard it, and think that it's not okay to feel? Like, that's crazy,
Right.
But it's just how we grew up. It's how we were taught to believe this is the right way to do it, because that's what they were taught. And, so on, down the generation. So I have no idea where it came from.
Okay.
But it is across the globe. So some freaking tribe had to have come up with this and infected the whole world. Shit, I don't know. But it
so you notice it among different backgrounds and cultures.
Yeah, I've helped so many different cultures, so many different people with religious backgrounds, so many different people that don't even believe in God, so many different people that do believe in God. And it's all the same, man. It really is. It's like, I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I feel like I just need to do this by myself. No one understands me. All of these different things that just don't help you. They just don't help you. And so, again, it's just all the things that I'm doing out there in the world. A lot is really driven. Yes, grief is definitely at the core of what I do, because I want to help people heal. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to get in front of that fire, it's really teaching people about human emotion and how to be in touch with your human emotion.
Yeah, it's completely evolved from the first reason how you got into it or why you got into it.
Right, yeah. Because, man, I see so many people dealing with grief on a daily.
Right.
And to your point, it's not just the death of a loved one.
Right.
Right? It could be moving. It could be your pet died. It could be, a significant shift in your finances. It could be trauma, right? Sexual assault. It could be someone that's suffering PTSD, right? When we start to label our grief, we compartmentalize it, and then we think that because this is how I'm labeling it or how society's labeling it, this is where I need to be. I can't be anywhere else. It's just like when I label myself as a widow. And in the beginning, it was like, I'm a widow. So you know what? I am always going to grieve the loss of my husband. And I am never going to find love again because he was the love of my life. And you only get one chance at love. That's like what I believed. And so, you just kind of get stuck in this place. One of the ones that really break my heart is the parents that lose their children, right? It's crazy because when you lose your spouse, you're a widow. When you lose your parents, especially when you're a child, you're an orphan. But when you're a parent that loses your child, there is nothing, right? And so parents then, because there is no label, feel that this is the worst grief you could ever experience. And if you've never lost a child, then you don't know the magnitude of grief the way I know it. Again, when you put yourself in that label or in that compartment, then you find it really difficult to move to a place of healing and recovery, or healing and joy and purpose, because you think that because I'm here, I can't be happy ever again, ever. Right? And it's sad and it breaks my heart. And you have to be the one to intentionally want to heal your heart. I could give you as much information as I can till I turn blue in the face, but if you're not willing to do the work on yourself, I can't help you.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that I have to walk away from because they're just not ready.
Really?
Yeah, they're just not ready. And
is that a hard thing to do? To be
absolutely, especially if there's people that I know.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart.
Time invested.
Yeah. breaks my heart so much. But you know what I tell my team, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what I tell my team is this: we are planting a seed. So every time we go out there and we talk to people about grief, and we teach them a little bit more than what they knew yesterday, then we've planted a seed. And when they're ready, they know where to find us. They're going to come look for you, right? So just continue to keep planting those seeds. Don't ever give up.
Right. It's going to be like the typical movie scene where they're throwing stuff away.
Right.
And then the business card falls out of between the papers. They pick it up off the floor and they look at it and then dial the number.
Yeah. I mean, we do these monthly grief talks, right? And they're free. It's a community outreach. And what we've noticed is that we actually have some people that come every month because they're not ready yet to take the actions, but they find comfort in what we have to say. And even if it's just for that moment that they're with us, that helps them, then, that's the most that we can do for them.
And they can probably say 0 words through the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. But they walk away with a little bit more knowledge than they did before they walked in. And, that's all we could do for people. When they're ready to dive deeper with us, then we're ready to help them. We're always ready to help anybody, right? Doesn't matter what your grief is. And so, just talking about my team, I now have a team. Remember before, it was just me.
It was just you, right?
So, gosh, what has it been? 3 years? So now I have a team. And there is a total of 14 of us on Guam. So I still consider myself on Guam.
My goodness.
Yeah, 14 of us on Guam.
That's a lot.
And 5 in Saipan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, we are so super excited. And, the great thing about it is because everyone on Guam, right, seems to be related somehow. Mm-hmm. My family doesn't feel safe coming to me and having me be their grief recovery specialist to help them through their grief. And I also don't feel comfortable because I want them to find a safe space. Like if they've got a lot of grief that they've had from years before that I've never known about, that they may think, even though I will never judge them, but I want them to feel safe, right? So I want them to go to someone.
You don't want them walking away like, damn, Dar knows a little bit more now than than she used to.
Yeah. And then, worry like, oh shit, if I piss her off, she might say something. That'll never happen.
Walking on eggshells. Walking on eggshells, like, oh,
right.
She knows too much.
Yeah. So, now I could refer them. Now I could refer them out to different people that don't, have any ties to them whatsoever. And then their space can be safe, So it's exciting, and it was so crazy because we just certified these guys in May. And after we did the certification, we did all this media about it. And then I get all these messages from people, when are you going to have your next certification? I'm like, man, you guys missed it. Like we could have taken like another 10 people maybe.
Wow.
But, people were just kind of hesitant. And then when they saw how amazing it was, then they wanted to come in. And this is my deal is the people that we've just certified, I want them to be successful. And I don't want us to saturate, right? I want everyone to be able to go out there and help hearts heal. And I want them to be able to stand on their own before we get more people in and certify them and then start helping them.
For sure.
Right? Because otherwise, then we're going to have people dropping and feel like they're not supported. And I never want to do that. Yeah. Again, it's just we're heart people and we're all about helping others, including our own team and helping ourselves. Right? So, we don't want to just say, oh, now you're certified, go out there and help people. Okay, how do I do that? You know what I mean? Like we gave you the method, but how do you market myself?
Just show them your certificate. And, right? Like wave it around like that.
Yeah, it's like, come on, you know, right? When it comes to a business, there's more to it, right?
Sure,
You've got to know sales and marketing. You've got to know accounting. You've got to know, gotta
learn how to promote yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Branding, right?
Branding, promotion, being able to speak in front of people, right? Small groups, big groups, whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's still so much that they don't get from certification that I'm teaching them, right? And that's one of the amazing things about traveling the world is I built up so much of my own personal development that now I can share all of this with my team.
For sure.
And it's just like, if I'm going to help people, I need to know it myself. Like, I'm not going to be that person that goes, oh yeah, I know that. And then go find a book somewhere and pull stuff out of a book. Like, I need to be able to walk this talk,
Yeah.
And I
let me just Google that real quick.
Right.
Let me Google someone's experience real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
So, it's important to me that I am, a subject matter expert in things that I'm going to teach you. And if I'm not, for sure, I'm going to refer you out to the people that are the subject matter experts.
Right. Because now you've created this sort of network of other grief recovery specialists.
Yeah. Or even just other people that are like marketing gurus or salespeople or tech people, right? It's just like, I know I'm not an expert in everything. So what I know, I'm going to teach you. And then where you need more help, I'm going to refer you out.
So the intent isn't to create a big organization of one. It's everybody is like kind of, how do I say this? Like everybody's in it together, but you can go in. It's like a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So everyone has to go out and get their own business license, and basically they're kind of a sole prop, right?
Yeah.
But we work as a team because Guam is so small, Saipan is so small, and we find that there's strength in numbers. So we are out there in the face of the public as a team. We're Grief Recovery Guam and CNMI is what we call ourselves.
Right.
But behind the scenes, everyone is an individual business owner. But we work together, and that support is so much better. Dude, when I was doing this by myself, it was tough.
I bet.
It was tough, knocking on doors and sending emails and doing all these things. It's like, who are you? And where did you come from? And who else does this?
Right.
Just me.
Yeah. Just trying, Yeah, for sure. I have a friend who told me, it's like, hey, man, at some point you have to realize that you can't do it alone. Right. You need other people to help you.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you can do it all by yourself, but then you're gonna be slack. You're gonna be lacking in some areas that maybe somebody can help pick you up.
Yep.
Right, or pick the team up.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, we have strengths and we have weaknesses, right? So bring people into the team that can supplement, right, where you are not strength, where your strength is not at. And so that's what we've got, an amazing team that some are really good social media marketers. We've even have a psychiatrist and a licensed therapist. And that community of people really kind of shunned me in the beginning, and
what is it because it's not like a university brick and mortar kind of deal?
No, it's because I'm not licensed. I'm a specialist. I'm certified, but I don't have a license like a doctor, right?
To talk to people?
No, to help people with their grief.
That's weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very, very interesting.
Well, because a lot of, and I don't mean to diss anyone out there, but a lot of mental health professionals out there put grief under mental health. And really, at the end of the day, grief is all about a broken heart. It's not about your brain, right? But we do know in the grief recovery method that when your heart is broken, your head doesn't work right. So again, coming back to that self-love, you have to encompass all of your bodies, because when one is deficient, the rest are going to struggle, right? And so it's the same thing with grief, your heart and your mind. If your heart is broken, man, you know it, right? Like if you're sad or you're depressed, you have no motivation to work.
Yeah.
You make mistakes. You're just not going to be, operating at 100% because
sleep all day.
Yeah. And so again, we are one person, so we need to connect all of that so that one person can be sustainable in life. And so I am very, very excited that, globally mental health is being recognized now. Because even though I don't really think that we belong in the mental health category, it's how society looks at it. So I just got to go with the crowd.
Right.
Until I start teaching people otherwise, right? And so that's fine, right? Put me in together with the mental health professionals, but we're going to probably butt heads because they're going to say that this person is depressed or this person has PTSD or this person is, suffering from some sort of panic attacks, or this person has some sort of mental health condition or
disorder. We need to prescribe them this.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, no. They just have a broken heart. So, what we do now is we're partnering a lot with, the mental health organizations, because we know that at the core of all of these mental health conditions is a broken heart somewhere. Something set you off earlier on in your life, and it started to compound over the years, and then one thing over another, right? To the point where now I'm depressed because I don't like life. I need meds to help me. Or, a service member that has gone through war. Absolutely, there is trauma out there. I could not ever imagine what someone that has experienced war has gone through, because I've never gone through war. But if you label yourself in that capacity, then where is the healing going to start?
And you're not allowing other people to be able to come in to maybe help you in different respects.
Exactly. So all we're saying is we are another option, and we can work in partnership with all these other professionals to help you in wherever you're at in your space right now, right?
Sure.
Because I get it. There are going to be some people that are going to be way above a grief recovery specialist level. For example, someone that has suffered from a drug addiction or alcohol addiction. Sorry, guys, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And you take care of your addiction.
Right.
You need to see those professionals first.
Right.
Take care of that 12-step, program or whatever it is that you go through. When you're done, come see me.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of like wanted to tap into when you started mentioning different kinds of people going through grief, and that we were able to handle it. As now I was thinking about drugs, and you brought up drugs. It's like people use antidepressants to get out of depression, and they end up being addicted to depression, to these antidepressants.
Right.
And I guess you just answered my question. It's like you have to allow them to get off the drugs first.
Right. Yeah, because they need to be really like have this clear mental capacity to be able to absorb what I'm teaching them.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is people don't realize that these guys that are addicted because they're numbing a pain that they've been going through in their life for so long. So again, it's all about what's at the core. Let's get to the core and stop trying to mask it with medication, or trying to just hit the surface, right? You're an addict. We're going to help you with your addiction. Okay, but why? First of all, why did you become an addict? What are you going through? What kind of suffering have you gone through in your life that you felt you needed to do this? Did it start off because it was peer pressure in school and your friend said, oh, let's smoke weed? Okay, no, that's not good enough. Let's smoke cocaine. Right. Oh, that's not good enough. Let's smoke heroin.
Right.
Still, there's a loss of identity there. There's a loss of self-worth, self-confidence. There's still loss. Loss is grief, right? So if you don't love yourself enough to say, nope, sorry, not going to do that. I love myself too much. Then there's something else is going on with you that you don't have enough strength or courage to walk away from something like that. Or you think it's cool because that's what everyone else is doing, and you don't want them to think that you're a coward because of a belief system that was built up over the years as a child, right?
Yeah. Stop
crying, I'm going to put a dress on you, right? As a boy.
I've never been told. Maybe Matt. No?
But you see what I mean?
No, so I got you.
There's a core reason, and a lot of times people don't want to hit that core because it's too painful. It's too painful. So when people come to us, we really have to tread very cautiously with them because we know that we're hitting some emotional stuff that they have been stuffing down for so long.
Can you tell when someone's deflecting at this point?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's why our method is so, I want to say that it's a very simple.
God, it's very interesting to hear you speak so confidently about the method now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you first came, it was, it was something that you had just completed and that you were delving into.
Just wanted to share it, right? Yeah. No, it's so dynamic and it's so transformational. Use the word transformational. Because if I say magical, people are like, whatever, that's doesn't exist. Magic doesn't exist.
Where's your wand?
Right. So I like to say transformational because truly you're going to walk out transformed in your thought process, transformed in your healing, transformed in so many different aspects of your life, transformed in what you thought this was to now what it is or what it can be in your life. And so the method is so simple. And we walk you through these steps that, yes, it's very emotional, but it's simple. And we don't take these huge groups. So, I will never take more than 15 people. And even 15 people is a lot because you want the group to be intimate, right? As a grief recovery specialist, I want to be able to give my full attention to every single person that comes into my group. And I can't do that if I've got too many people in there. And everybody that's in there is grieving something at 100%. And we always say that. Your grief is your grief. You grieve it at 100%. It doesn't matter if I think that it's, not that big a deal. For me, it may not be that big a deal, but for you, it hurts. Like, for example, if you lost your dog, that is going to be a grief that you're going to feel very deeply.
Oh yeah, I've been actually preparing myself, and I don't even think I'll be prepared when he goes, because he's a part of my life.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
Has me trained to take him out in the mornings, like twice a day. That's my thing. Spending time with him, seeing him all the time for the last 13 years.
Wow, 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
And I think there was maybe like 4 years we didn't spend together, but it's, everyone's like, you better be ready. I was like, no, I think I'm ready. But in my heart, I'm like, shit, I don't know if I'm ready. And I don't know if I'll be ready, because this is the only being that I've been around that I know,
he doesn't judge you.
Yeah. and I know that his time is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thought, right? For humans, it's like, yeah, they'll live till they're 100, right? But then for me and for my dog that I've had for 13 years, I thought he was gonna die at like 9 years old, and then I was like, okay, well, we're at 10. Oh, we're at 11.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're at 13.
And you're continuing to build that relationship.
Yeah, and I took him to the vet. Yeah, I took him to the vet. That he was like, he's extremely healthy. I was like, is that right?
Yeah.
So he might live till he's 21. So
just so you know, we do have a pet loss program.
Really?
We do. Because we do recognize that pets are, a lot of people, that's their fur babies, right? That's what they call them. And they're a part of their family. And so we do recognize that. And, people that are pet owners that lose their pets, they're isolated, because if you don't have a pet, you don't understand. Right. Or even if you do have a pet, some people don't love their pets the way other people love their pets.
Especially if you create that relationship with your animal.
And so again, that's that grief. Grief creates isolation for a lot of people, because they know that a lot of people around them will not understand. Right. And it's not for them to understand.
Yeah.
It's just for them to be there to love and support you. Really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. But they don't get it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not scared he's gonna die. I'm more less curious, and just I don't want to say curious. Curious is the wrong word that I'm trying to use. I'm not scared he's gonna die. It's me. I guess I am curious of how I'm gonna really actually handle it when it does happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like looking at him, like, is it now? Is it now? But it's, if I keep doing that, then I'm like trying to be prepared or trying to be aware of his death rather than enjoying the life that he has left with me.
There you go. So live in the present moment and just continue to create those memories with him. Instead of worrying about what's going to happen today, tomorrow, the next day.
Sorry, Coleman. Right? I know we're just talking about you. He's like, straight up, he's crash tired talking about him dying.
But I mean, so it was just, I was trying to use like different examples of how grief is unique to each of us, right?
Yeah.
And then we all feel it at 100%. And so when everyone walks into the room, like tomorrow, I'm going to have these group of people that are going to be walking in, and every single one of them have a different grief. And there's only out of everyone that's there, probably only one person, like really know them and know what their grief is. Everyone else are complete strangers, and I have yet to know what their grief is. And so I'm going to be walking into a room full of strangers. And, again, that's not anything new for me, but I always have to make sure that I walk into this room intentionally being present for each of them, and always remind myself, who am I here for? Right? Who am I here for? I'm not here for myself. I'm here for every single one of the people that are in there, right? And when that person's talking, that's who I'm paying attention to at that moment, So it really is just about intention, about building that relationship, and about creating a safe environment for everyone that comes through my program, whether it's a one-to-one or a group program.
Yeah, it's very, it's, I was going to say it's very interesting, because a lot of this thing is interesting to me. A lot of these things you're saying is interesting to me. It's, oh my God, where was I going with that? For people that you see that you haven't met, it's crazy, because you're initially creating this dependency, like depend on me to help you get through this, but then you're also weaning them off that dependency at the same time, it seems, so that they can go and with the tools that you've given them
right.
to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
Like what is your, I mean, here's the method, but what is your style? What is your way you're going to really handle this when you're by yourself? Because most of the time we spend by ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have anyone really to talk to. And one of the things that we do as human beings, Boo, is that we feel like when someone comes and talks to you, it's because you think that they're looking for advice. Right? So we always feel as human beings that we have to say something. We have to offer something. But when it comes to grief, grievers don't need to be fixed. They just want to be heard. And so one of the things that we teach people is to just be a heart with ears and no mouth. Don't say anything. Right? Just listen to me. And sometimes, because not everyone knows this, right? So if I'm going to go to someone and I'm going to tell them something because I'm having this emotional, event in my life right now, and you're the first person that's there that I can talk to, this is how I start my conversation. Boo, I need to tell you something, but I just need you to listen. I'm not here for advice. Can you just be my heart with ears? Yeah. That way, I'm setting the tone for what's going to happen. Then you've got this weight lifted off your shoulders going, whew. Yeah. No, I don't have to offer advice because, man, I don't know what to tell her.
The brain is like going to the file. Go to the filing cabinet. What is she saying right now?
And so it really sets up the conversation for success instead of failure.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I'm going to come to you and I'm just going to spill out my guts, and then you feel like you need to tell me something to help me fix my pain, I'm going to look at you going, you know what? I don't even know why I came and spoke to you in the first place. And I'm going to walk away.
And that's Guam style.
Right?
Say, all right, listen, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Go tell her.
Yep. Yeah. Or forget her.
Yeah, forget her, man. Past is in the past.
Yeah. So, so that is it's a big shift in how we connect with each other.
It's mostly approach than actual routine or system, right? It's like how you're approaching the situation.
True. It is approach and intention, but it's also about changing the mindset.
Okay.
So changing the mindset. So the belief system that you had before, we are going to shift that in this program and teach you something else so that your belief system changes so that you can now navigate through your grief in an effective way, right? Because all of those old tools don't work. We talk about this in our grief talks is when you're painting a room, you need the right tools. And so when you relate to grief, most often when you're painting that room of grief, you're using a sledgehammer, you're using a hammer, you're using nails, you're using a screwdriver, all of these things that don't work. That's why we're stuck. We're going to teach you how to paint a room with a paintbrush and roller so that you're going to walk out with bright colors in your room. In other words, in your space, so that now that darkness is going to be removed and it's going to be replaced with light and color, right? And when we use that analogy, people go, oh, wrong tools? Then they get curious. What are those wrong tools? And then we start talking about it. It's all the myths of grief. Be strong. Grieve alone. Don't feel bad, right? Don't feel bad. They're with God now, right? Replace the loss. Don't worry, Nenny. You're young. You'll find another boyfriend or another husband. It's like
still beautiful,
right? It's like that's not what I want to hear right now. Like my heart is even someone that hasn't lost a husband. If you just broke up with your girlfriend and someone says, "Dude, come on, man, let's come and help you find another chick," dude, I'm still hurt.
Plenty fish in the sea, Maddie.
I still love her. Like I'm not ready to move. You're gonna be ready at some point, but right now in this very moment, it's like that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? You want them to just listen to you. And so these are the things that we're shifting in our grief talks, in our method. We teach people all of these things so that they can walk away a little bit smarter about grief. Just a little bit. Yeah.
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 Do you see yourself evolving the method because of now you've networked with a bunch of people, now you've been able to help a bunch of people, and now stylistically the method will become your style, right?
So we always do tell our specialists that we want you to be you, right? And but the method was created by a man, number one, not a woman, by a man. His name is John James. And he created the grief recovery method because his son died at 3 days old. And like me and like many grievers, he went out and sought help. Church, therapists, support groups, family and friends, books, internet, nothing helped. He was also a Vietnam vet. So think about this as a man who's a Vietnam vet who lost his son at 3 days old, who also had a dad that was an abusive dad, right? So when he developed this method, he started to learn about human emotion and about our belief system. And that's kind of where this grief recovery method was created. It's been in existence for over 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, I would never change the method. Number one, because I'm certified under the Institute, and right, we have to sign on the dotted line. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I really could walk away and go, you know what, I'm going to come up with my own system.
Right.
But I'm so passionate about this method, Boo, because number one, it worked on me, my own personal grief. And that's why I went out and got certified. Because I said it in the beginning, like, I'm not going to teach you something if I am not walking that talk, right? I've always been that kind of person. So with this method, it took me from such a dark place for the months that I was grieving Frank to just being in this workshop for 2.5 days. And all of a sudden, I'm transformed. How the heck does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? That's why I call it magic, but people don't like to hear the word magic, so I just say transformed.
Yeah.
But the method has been around and it's helped millions of people across the globe by various different types of people that are teaching it. So we always say the method is taught by grievers for grievers. Because first, you got to work through your own grief before we certify you to teach others how to do it for themselves.
Is it typical for people who are grieving, is it for them to become a specialist is because they lost a loved one, or is it?
Not always.
Okay.
Sometimes we get people that come through our program because they're a professional in that space already, and they just want to find something else to kind of, add to what they're already doing to help others. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that when they come in, they're going to be working on some losses. And that is the dynamic thing about this method when we certify people is usually half the room are coming in because I want to be certified because I was a griever. I took this before and I know it can help others. And the other half of the room is I'm a mental health professional, or I work in a church, or, I'm a teacher or whatever. And I want to be able to help because I have so many people come through me that are grieving and I don't know how to help them. So now I want to be certified to teach, not knowing that they're coming in. Well, first you're going to work on yourself. I don't have grief. You absolutely do. And then when they start delving in and doing the work, they're like, crap. Oh, sometimes they're the biggest grievers. They're the ones that are like profusely crying. And it's just, but it's this aha moment for every single person. It is crazy every single time. The other thing that is so epic about this method is when I do groups, that's why I love groups versus one-to-one, everybody walks out.
Hey, you enjoying this episode of the podcast with Darlene Garcia? Go rate and review the podcast on the Apple Podcast app if you're listening to it on there. And the ratings help, and the reviews, they also help people be able to find out what the episode's like, or even the show. So thank you. Back to the conversation.
So close. So close. Whether it's a 2-day workshop working on yourself or a 4-day certification, everybody walks out with a bond with each other. It is so crazy amazing. First day, we're already like brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
First couple hours, maybe even. That's how amazing this method is, dude. Seriously, like I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. And people just got to walk through it in order to know what I'm talking about, right? So
yeah,
and
especially be able to accept, right? And if you're gonna go into it, it would have to be an open mind.
Yeah, you have to. I actually have a flip chart that actually says, "Tell the truth about yourself all the time." because we want it to be up there for people to look at and go, okay, I'm in here. I need to be honest first with myself before I'm honest with everybody else. Because you said that, didn't you? We lie to ourselves the most.
Mm-hmm.
This is why that statement is so important when you come and do the method. You're coming in voluntarily. You want to help yourself, so tell the truth about yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. Dig deep into your core. Where is this stuff coming from?
Right.
Right? And a lot of times we've stuffed it up for so many years, we never realized that that was a loss that was impacting our behavior today.
Right. Constantly justifying why you're a certain way.
Yeah, it's
why
like
you do certain
right.
things.
You look at someone and you're like, why are they always so angry?
Right.
Right? Or why is that person, always cussing? Or why is that person,
just pull the mic, T.
Yeah. Why is that person always like why is that person like always, doing all of these addictive things, right?
Yeah.
Because there's something deeper. Like I always say that it's what is at the core of what is causing you to be this way. Something is there. I'm not saying that everyone's going to be naturally happy all the time. That's not the goal. But the goal is to help you understand that human emotion is very normal, very natural. Acknowledge it. Give yourself permission to feel it, own it, walk through it.
Yeah. Wow. It's an interesting time we're in, because back then you weren't allowed to express emotion like that.
Exactly. That's why like my life, you see it, it's on social media. It's my life is so transparent, and people are like, wow, you're so strong. And, we've been watching your journey. I said, guys, I didn't get here like because I said, one day, you know what, I'm just going to do this. No, it took a lot of hard work, and I'm still working through some of those losses in my life. I've worked through everything with Frank, but man, he wasn't my only loss. I had lots of losses when I was a kid, and I didn't know, and it makes you think, okay, this is why I acted this way. This is why I do certain things. This is why I have these habits, and then you start to discover who you are. And that was my self-discovery mission that led me to self-love. It's like, first you don't like yourself very much, and then I'm going to teach you how to love yourself unconditionally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. It's heavy.
Dude, you always know when I come in here, it's going to be deep.
It's heavy. Honestly, it's super heavy. I mean, make me want to evaluate the things that, what are the things in my life that I'm possibly grieving about that I don't even realize.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Loss can be a lot of different things, right? You think about things that happened in your childhood. I remember, I had a friend who was my age, 7 or 8 years old at the time, and she had leukemia. And walking in to her funeral, like, I'm this scared little 8-year-old girl walking up to a coffin of an 8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And in my mind, all I could think was confusion and fear. Confused because I thought people only die when they're old, and scared because seeing her there made me think, well, shit, if she could die that young, I could die that young.
Yeah.
And I could not share those emotions with my family, because the whole time walking up and before I got to the funeral, it was, you got to be strong. You got to be strong for her family. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see her in there. She looks like she's sleeping. She's beautiful. She's resting. What does resting mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to rest like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so as a kid, you just are so confused because they don't explain that to you very well.
Yeah.
They think that you don't understand, right? And so that was a loss when I was younger, like always scared about dying, never knowing when I was going to die. I was always scared about dying, always scared to have a disease. I didn't know how she got her disease, but I was just afraid, like, if anything was wrong with me, I was the first one, I want to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to die. I didn't want to have a disease, and no one ever explained to me how this stuff happens, right? So helping kids at such a young age and treating them like a human being and not like they're half human, because they're full human, just like us adults, we need to do that. We need to be completely honest with our feelings and what's going on around them, right? Because kids are so much more in tune with their environment than we think. I get a lot of people that come through my program that they've gone through so much stuff as kids that their parents didn't even know. And the stories were not even about what happened to them. It was what they observed. What went on in their environment that created those losses in their life.
Yeah.
Because no one ever explained it to them that it wasn't okay. And so when they grew up and they realized, shit, it wasn't okay, then they started to question their identity or their self-worth, confidence, and that is truly grief in itself. We all got grief, man.
Yeah. Have you ever been through met any kids that needed, not needed help, needed help?
Well, so the method is not designed to help children, but we do have a program that's called Helping Children with Loss. So it's for the parents, the adult caregivers, the teachers, the counselors, the coaches, anyone that actually is with children on a daily. We have a program that the adults can take so that they can help the kids navigate through their loss. I see. But I don't personally go and teach the kids myself.
That'll be tough.
Yeah, I teach my own kids. I teach my grandkids, but I don't teach other people's kids.
Right.
And I'm not in that capacity. So it's amazing because we've got 2 school counselors that are grief recovery specialists now. So now we're in Department of Education, which is amazing. So we've been trying to get our kid program out there to help the adult caregivers because it starts when you're a kid. And why do we want to wait till you become an adult and suffer a significant loss in your life?
Yeah, not even just loss, just maybe trauma,
right.
Physical trauma.
Yes, exactly, physical trauma. And so it's like, we don't want you to wait. That's why we do these community outreach talks, is we want to get in front of the fire. We want people to know grief is more than just death, guys. We get it. Death is definitely the most significant, the most impactful.
It's on the right side of the spectrum for sure.
Right, for sure.
There's a spectrum.
Yeah. And so we've all suffered loss throughout our life. And there's a reason why we behave a certain way. There's a reason why we have certain addictive things that are going on in our life, right? It's not just drugs and alcohol. People are addicted to food. Mm-hmm. People are addicted to working out.
Yeah, sex.
Yeah, people are addicted to sex. Mm-hmm. I have a friend that, I met on LinkedIn actually, and she, not that she was addicted to sex, but sex was kind of her, what we call in our program, short-term energy relieving behaviors, a way to numb her pain.
Like an outlet.
Yeah. So she was raped, gang raped when she was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And that caused a lot of fear and confusion and self-worth issues in her life. So she didn't want to be hurt like that anymore. So if a man wanted to have sex with her, she just willingly did it so that she wouldn't be violated against her will.
Wow.
Imagine that. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when we look at these people that are addicted to sex, you have to think, what did they suffer from? What was it that they went through in their life that they did this? Do they really love sex that much that they're addicted? Sex should be intimate, right? It should be shared with someone that you love, not just go out there and, just expose yourself to anybody, right? Yeah. Where is your self-worth? Something happened. There's a core issue going on there that they are numbing. They don't want anyone to know. That's what happened to my friend.
Yeah.
That broke my heart. When I heard that story, I was like, that actually happens in the world?
Right.
Yeah, apparently so. There's a lot of women out there that deal with that. There's a lot of men. We already know this, right? It's in the media all the time about the priests,
right?
And, the violation of boys, and those boys are now men, older men that are probably grandfathers now.
Yeah, 60s.
That are just coming out with this story. So imagine years and years and years, over 40 years, maybe 50 years of holding on to this traumatic event, stuffing that loss, that grief, that pain
but still
inside of them.
Being able to live a life, an actual life.
Right. But let's look at who are some of these men and what are some of the things or what are some of their behaviors, right? Do they isolate a lot? Are they withdrawn? Do they lash out in anger? Are they addicted to certain things, alcohol or drugs? I mean, are they normal, upstanding citizens and they're hiding behind something else? I mean, you can't just take a traumatic event like that and live your life normally without it impacting you in some way, shape, or form. It bleeds out somewhere, boo. It does. And whether we recognize it or not, they do. They're feeling it every single day. That pain is in them every single day. they're dying inside of their own body. And no one knows.
Yeah.
Because of a belief system of don't embarrass the family.
Yeah.
Or I'm ashamed. I don't want anyone to know that I was violated by a man because I'm a man. Do you know what I mean? And so there's all of these different things. So when you see someone coming out with that much courage, it's amazing. It's transformational for them, but it's heartbreaking because you look at them going, man, you did not have to go through that your entire life.
Yeah, but the way it'll come out like too is like the media will be all over it,
right?
And now you're in the spotlight that all you wanted to do was tell somebody, but then it got leaked, and now you're faced with having to be interviewed and be cameras in front of you because now you're the first case of, for example, Archbishop, right? Yeah. The guy who came out against Archbishop for the very first time.
Yeah,
that's had to been a very tough decision.
Yep.
For him to have made, knowing that this guy that's been like the patriarch of the Catholic faith here on Guam for the last 40 years did this, and there's a guy who actually lived through it and suffered.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that's got to be tough.
Yeah. So imagine all of the grief that it created for everybody
around him.
So it's not just the man that suffered at the hands of the Archbishop, but it's the Archbishop himself that had to go through being drugged in the mud, right? For whatever reason. We don't know, right, why he did what he did, or no one knows, like, what happened right. Just them. But it affected their families, too. Then it affected the entire Catholic community.
Yeah.
Because now we've got loss of trust, loss of faith, right? So much loss is going on. So it wasn't just these two men. The domino effect of loss that was felt by the entire island community was like crazy.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, and so it just breaks your heart, right? So it's just, that's why I'm saying, like, we need to teach our kids at a very young age how to deal with loss, grief, trauma, change, stress, at an early age, the earliest age possible.
Do you think this should be put into the educational system?
Yes, absolutely. And trust me, we are working on that. Like, we've got 2 counselors, and we've got our foot in the door now.
And they don't have to be necessarily grieving, right? But to inform kids, almost like sex ed.
Right.
Right? You put sex ed in the schools, pregnancy rates go down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it is. It's we need to teach human emotion, emotional intelligence in school. And then we need to teach them how to survive in the real world with money and
finances.
The things that they don't teach us in school, right? It's like, shoot, man, I'm the valedictorian, but man, no one ever taught me how to do my taxes.
Yeah. And now I'm $50,000 in debt with a credit card company.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of things that we don't teach in society or in schools or whatever, that really does impact us when we become adults.
I can imagine it being a long, hard trodden road, getting it completely into the educational system, or even having after school programs or stuff like that.
I mean, we are so we're so passionate about getting it into everywhere, right? So we've got the schools to help the kids. We've got the military to help our service members and the families, because there's so much loss and grief going on with our military in general. Military active families move all the time. There's so much loss when you move, right? Kids are being taken away from their good friends, their boyfriends, their girlfriends. They've created so many different relationships with, teachers or whatever. They've got relationship with their house, right? They love their house or they love their community. That's a loss in itself. And so we're constantly doing this. Our service members get deployed. They're separated from their families. That's a loss already. The service member themselves being at war. There's so much trauma, I'm sure, that they've experienced or lost. They're just being away from their families. There's grief there. So there's grief everywhere, right? So we're really trying to go into all these different areas of the island so that we can help, in every capacity that we can. So we have a lot of work to do. We totally do. But I'm so fired up about it. I'm so passionate about it.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we are here and we're really like making a stand. So any opportunity that we can to get out there. You ever heard of Grant Cardone? He's a sales guy, big sales guy, billionaire, anyways, you got to look him up on YouTube.
Let's look him up right now.
Yeah, he does a lot of YouTube videos. He's on Instagram and Facebook, does videos all the time.
Does he do a podcast? Somebody might have told me about his.
He may. I'm not sure.
Podcast.
But he wrote a book. It's called The 10X Rule. Anyways, I went to Grant's 10X conference, his third conference in Miami at the beginning of the year. And my biggest...
You can bring him up.
My biggest takeaway from Grant is get attention. If you want to service people with what you're offering, you need to get attention. And in the beginning, I was like a little bit timid, like, oh, I don't know if I should go here. Maybe I should start here first. But now, after going to that, I'm like, oh, hell no. We are going to get attention everywhere we can, because if we want to help the largest amount of grievers in the shortest amount of time, we need them to know where to find us.
Right.
And how do you do that if you don't get attention?
Yeah.
You know, that's why we've done so much.
What is that 10X program or the book?
So it's called the 10X Rule.
Oh, 10X Rule.
Yeah. And it talks about how to 10X everything in your life.
Yeah, sure. Go to his 10X as in how to multiply.
Yep, 10 times. Yeah. When you're doing something, you do it 10 times more, 10 times better, 10 times greater.
Yeah.
Than the average person, than you did yesterday. He's all about just, doing everything 10 times more.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a dynamic speaker. He talks so much about, and he came from nothing. Grant came from nothing and built himself up. And he told his mom, I'm not going to.
You can go down. Can you go down more?
Yeah, he's great.
Huh. Nice. So he's like the modern day. Was that Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins?
Yeah. So he is kind of like a Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is so much more. I think. Tony Robbins is great. He's got a huge heart. Not that Grant does it, but Grant is so much more energetic.
Okay.
He's just like, like in your face, fired up.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is a little bit more charismatic, if you will. Both great motivational speakers, both hold great conferences. I think they both have something good to, for people to really learn from.
Right.
But Grant, like I said, the biggest takeaway that I got from him was to get attention. Whatever you're doing, get attention.
You can bring it down on the screen. But if you want to keep looking at that, Matt, you totally can.
Yeah, his book is cool. And he's got the audiobook. And a lot of times when you listen to audiobooks, they hire someone to do the audio.
It's like chapter 1.
He's the guy.
He's reading it.
He's reading his own damn book. And he throws in words here because he likes to cuss, which I love about him too. Because he's real.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so, yeah, he's amazing. I love him. Like, if you're going to look at anybody motivational.
What made you want to go to one of his conferences? Just reading his book or?
No, actually, it's so crazy. So, I've been in the corporate space forever. So I was literally in a bubble, right? And I knew nothing but Continental/United, and everything that they taught us was in-house. So you never really had to go out and do anything personal development and learn from anyone else. Everything was there. Like, we're a global company, so we didn't need to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
So when I became my own boss, I needed to fill that gap. And so I started to go out and do all these personal development things. And so one of the first things that I did when I left Guam was I joined a mastermind group with Ty Lopez. You heard of Ty Lopez?
No.
So he's another social media guy, $1 million, really young, probably in his 30s, early 30s. Anyway, I joined his mastermind, and through his mastermind, he got all of us tickets to go to this conference that cost the seats that we got cost $4,000 or $2,000 or $3,000.
My goodness.
$29.90, I think. Yeah, $3,000 each. And we got the seats for free because we were part of, since Ty was speaking, he was one of the speakers at the conference. Yeah. So everyone that was in his mastermind, he's like, you guys come to Miami, buy your ticket, get your hotel room. You got a seat at Grant Cardone's 10X conference. I'm like, who the hell's Grant Cardone? So I looked him up. I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty epic. Like, I'm curious now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Miami. Went to Miami, checked him out. It was a 3-day conference of nothing but awesomeness. Damon John, Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the speakers.
Yeah, he's is he FUBU? Is Damon? I forget.
I don't know, but
Damon
I know
Dash, right? Is they call him Damon Dash?
No. Damon John is he's the host of Shark Tank.
The black dude, right?
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he goes. I think he's. What is he? What is his? I think he's FUBU.
I'm not sure, but he was one of the speakers. They had several different amazing speakers there.
He's FUBU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's FUBU. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was one of the speakers. Pretty cool guy. Grant, first day of conference, and he comes down freaking from a parachute. Okay, like hurt his leg, but he didn't care. This guy's getting attention, right? He's crazy like that, like So when then he brings Snoop on. So
that's what I saw, and I think it was like one of your videos or something like that.
So he brought Snoop on stage, and I'm going, wow, I've never been to Snoop's conference, but shit, I got to see him for free right here, live on stage. It was pretty epic. So after that, I was just like, okay, Darlene. So my biggest thing when I first started doing this was, I don't ever want to be a famous person. Like, that's not my goal. Right. My goal is to just help people heal their hearts. But Grant made me realize that in order for me to reach the masses, I need to become famous. I need to get attention. I need to get out there, So being out in the States and being able to travel and do this stuff helps me to build that platform. The next thing that I'm going to be doing when I go out there is trying to land stages and build up my speaker platform.
Nice. And
right?
You are a tremendous speaker.
Thank you.
I remember when you spoke at Inspire Guam.
Dude, you rocked that stage too, man.
Man, when you spoke, I was like, damn, she even like no slides, nothing.
No, you rocked it too. You killed it. You really did. But yeah, so that's my next goal. And he inspired me with that, And I'm like, okay, I'm not focusing on being famous, but I am focusing on getting attention because, man, if you want to help everybody, like I can't help the entire planet, but I can help as many as I can.
Right.
And Guam is 165,000 people. That's little compared to 7.2 billion in the world.
Right.
Right. And there's only about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 specialists in the world times, or divide that by 7.2 billion. There's no way.
Right.
Right. And so, and everyone kind of stays in their little community. Not me. No, I'm going to travel because, I got personal goals too, right? Bucket list. I'm going to Sedona. I'm going to go check out the lantern ceremony in Thailand. Like, I want to do things for me. Like, it's not work. It's my passion. Right. It's a purposeful journey.
And no matter where you go, you can connect with somebody who's grieving. Right.
So I'm going to go and I'm going to create memories and I'm going to build my life, but I'm also going to go out there and help grieving people at the same time. So it goes hand in hand, right? I never want to separate work from life because life is life. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And that's one of the things that I teach also through my self-love coaching is, why are you going to separate it?
That's an awesome statement.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's true, right? And it's just like everyone says, I'm going to wait till I retire. I'm going to wait till the kids graduate, or I'm going to wait till the kids get their college degree. I'm going to wait. And then you die.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Frank.
Yeah.
He died at 43. He was able to see two of his kids walk down the aisle, right? One of my daughters, see our son walk down the aisle. Amazing. He was able to meet 3 of our 7 going on 8 grandchildren, but he died so young. And honestly, like if Frank was still alive today, he would be so much more dynamic because in the last maybe, I want to say 8 or 9 years of his life is when he finally got that he needed to stop waiting. That's why he got his tattoos. That's why he got his Harley. That's why we did all this travel, because he says, babe, we're not waiting anymore. We got to live life now. We've got to create these memories now. We waited too long, and so out of the 25 years that we were together, we had like a good run of 9 years that we truly created memories at that very end, because all the other times we were working our asses off to make a living, to provide for our kids. We put our own lives aside, and I'm not saying that parents need to be selfish in that way and not think about your kids. That's not what I'm saying.
But you also have to be.
Yeah, but you have to be selfish in a way where you've got to take care of yourself first before you can help others 100%.
Yeah.
Right? And we as human beings, especially women, like I'm not saying that you men are selfish in that way, but women, like I said in the beginning, we're the heart of the family. So we always put everybody before us. And then women get tired, they get stressed, they get drugged down. Then they start to resent. They start to resent their families. They start to resent themselves. They start to resent their spouses because, man, I'm doing everything for everybody. What the hell are you guys doing for me?
Right.
You know, they get to that point in their life. You could do it all together. Your life can be one amazing life, all of it. You just got to do it right from the beginning, right? And if at some point in your life you realize, shit, I got to do this now, like Frank did 9 years later, that's okay too. You know, but I'm here to tell you that you got to start living now, like live in the present moment. I post that a lot on my social media. Screw the past. You got to work through those issues. If you've got a lot of losses there, I'll help you deal with that. Don't focus on the future. Like everyone always says, oh, you got to build for the future, Dude, your future might not ever come because you might die today.
Damn, you hit it right on the nail. I've been living by this motto for the last, since I basically started this podcast, and I started like really, I don't want to say I'm self-actualizing, but I'm becoming more self-aware and of the people who I have on the show, and then of myself, because I'm evaluating myself constantly, and I've taken retirement out of my vocabulary.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm gonna invest and I live by the motto, and I'm gonna invest in myself today.
Right.
Why am I gonna invest in something that I might not see?
Mm-hmm.
And at 65, I might not see that money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather spend it today because it does no good being in an account that's maybe guaranteed.
Yeah. Present moment. I always talk about that. You gotta live in the present moment. That's the only moment that you can control. You can't control or change. You can't change what's in the past, and you can't predict what's in the future, right? I mean, yeah, you want to be able to say, I've got this goal, like I want to do this, like I've got bucket list stuff that I want to do, but I live my life in the present moment every single day. You have to intentionally do that, because if you don't, you're going to be living in a place of regret, or you're going to be living in a place of worry, right? The past is regret, the future is worry. The control is present moment, and I'm a control freak. So I want to control my life now. You know what I mean? I can't do nothing about this or this. So I could do something about this. I'm going to do it. Right? Present moment. That is what I teach people. It's amazing when you really intentionally just live for today, and not worry. That is our biggest problem as a human race, is we worry so much about what the future holds. It's shit. That future may end the moment you walk out of a room. So why are you worried about it?
Yeah.
And I learned that because my husband died in an instant. And after that, I said, screw the future. Frank died, and I didn't know. He walked out saying, I love you. And a few minutes later, I get that phone call from Connie saying that I need to go to the hospital. You never could prepare yourself for something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so now it's all, and that's what he is telling me in my mind when we're talking.
You're giving me chills.
It's like, Dar, live in the present moment. Like, live life. Don't worry about anything else. Stop worrying about the past. You cannot change it. I'm gone. Like, live today for our grandkids. Like, our grandkids is the reason, really.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at my dining room, and one day crying. And I was by myself, and I'm talking to him saying, I can't do this, babe. Like, I can't live without you. Like, why did you have to leave me? Like, I don't know how to live without you. And then he came into my head and he said, you have to live for my grandbabies. You have to make sure that they know who I am. Dude, in that instant, I went, okay, what do I got to do? What do I got to do that? Because I'm still stuck in my grief, but he just gave me my why. They're my why.
Yeah.
All of them know their papa, even the ones that never met him. They could go to his picture. Who is that? Papa. So we talk about him. We honor him. We cry when we're sad for him in front of the kids because we want them to know human emotion is real. Why you miss your my granddaughter that's 5 years old. Do you miss your husband? Yes, I miss my husband. That is your papa. Well, I know, but he's your husband. So I mean, they're so wise at such a young age. And, again, like it breaks my heart to know that my grandchildren had to experience grief at such a young age. But at the same time, I am extremely grateful that now we have an opportunity to teach them about human emotion and how important it is to acknowledge it and give yourself permission to feel it at such a young age.
Right.
Instead of saying, stop crying. You know? So, it's amazing. It's hard sometimes to explain. It's so surreal, my life. And I owe so much gratitude to Frank because, again, it was in his life that we live a legacy or live out his legacy.
Yeah.
But it was also through his death that we learned so many lessons that I now teach people.
Powerful, Dar.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah. I tell my girlfriend all the time, she's working on self-improvement herself, and I told her, I was like, you can't depend on me for any success.
Yeah.
You need to experience the successes yourself, but you also have to be ready that in the event that, dude, I can walk out the door tomorrow and that's it.
Exactly.
And then what? You didn't pursue that thing you wanted to pursue because you were feeling comfortable, right? Or feeling like you didn't have to do it. Or
just wanted to be right there by your side for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what a lot of people do is they sacrifice so much of their own passions and dreams for their other half is what they call them, right? And I even teach people that it's like, don't call them your other half. You are one full person and they're one full person. They are not your other half. Because it's a label.
Yeah.
So when that person walks away, and I used to say that in the beginning, half of me died. When Frank died, half of me died. I always said that in the beginning. Because
in you guys' relationship,
right?
That was you, Frank and Dar.
Yes, exactly. And so I had to learn how to make myself whole again. And that was really tough. It's because I was in this belief. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. I believe in God. And I know when you get married, the two become one. But it doesn't mean you become one physical body.
Right.
You're still two physical bodies. You become one in heart.
Right.
Maybe one in soul.
One in love.
Yeah, one in love. Not even one in soul. You got two different souls.
Right.
You become one in love. Exactly. Right? It just means that you are one in union so that when you build your family unit, you do things together, right? As a family. You raise your kids as a family. You figure
We need you to interpret when someone's going through a marriage, just be on the side. All right, pause. All right, you know this part?
That's not your other half. You are one full person, guy.
And maybe that's and religion has a big influence on the way we think today.
It does, but you know what? Come on, we all read the Bible at some point in our lives, right? And there's so much about the Bible that you got to interpret, and a lot of times you're looking at going, I have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's all about interpretation. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about interpretation.
Life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it is what you make it, right? It is what you make it. But man, again, I look at people and I want to help everybody, but you have to want to help yourself.
For you, are you at the healed, or is it a constant balance between healing and evolving yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Constant balance, because grief will hit us throughout our life. We experience loss after loss after loss. As long as we're breathing, we're going to grieve. I was just telling my team last night because we had our grief talk. I leave on Monday and I'm like, I'm already grieving that I'm going to leave and I'm not going to see you guys. Like, that's loss, right? I'm already feeling this pain in my heart and sadness that I'm going to leave my grandkids and my kids and my family again, and it's constant, right? So it's just acknowledging the human emotion doesn't mean that, oh my God, I have to go and do the grief recovery work again.
Right.
Right? I mean, unless you feel like it really is something that you have to do, for all these maybe little losses in your life. But once you learn how to acknowledge your human emotions, then you just sit in it. You acknowledge it, you honor it, you give it life, and you let it walk through you so that you can find the place of joy and happiness again.
Yeah.
Because life isn't always going to be joyous and happy. Like, I'm always sad because I'm always leaving someone, or I build these every single time I do a group workshop, we all grieve at the end. Why? Because we built a relationship with each other over the 2 days that we're together or the 8 weeks that we're together. Yeah. And then when we got to say goodbye, it's like, God, I love you guys. We literally say, I love you at the very end. It's like, how crazy is that you love someone that was a complete stranger 2 days ago or 8 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That is transformation, and that is human connection in a form that you don't see. Yeah.
I feel like you're a missionary.
It's so funny that you say that, because when I was younger, truly, I wanted to be a missionary. I always said, man, when I'm done working and I retire, I think I want to go be a missionary and go help like poor people or kids or whatever. I always used to say that when I was younger. And it's really weird that you say that, because you're right. I mean, in some way, what I'm doing is like a missionary, right? Even though I charge people for my services, but still,
but you're still leaving your home and leaving what you're familiar with to go and travel different places to expand and to network. I mean, that's what basically missions do, right?
Yeah.
To expand, and that's the sacrifice that needs to be had.
Right. Yeah. So it is. And sometimes I'll, look at my life, like reflection, and go, God, how did I get to this place? Right. But it's almost like my childhood dream being fulfilled. Right. But God just had a different idea about what that mission was. And it had to be, unfortunately, at the expense of my husband dying. But that brought me to this greater purpose in my life that is far greater than me. And that's what missionaries will tell you, is their purpose is always far greater than them. They just go. They are led by God or spirit or universe or whatever they believe, right? Yeah. They're led by something deeper. And I believe that. Like, I believe in God. And I know that my purpose in life with helping people through the grief recovery method was God-given. Once I let go of the fact that I was going to be miserable for the rest of my life, and I let go of all of that, and I started to trust and have faith again, God gifted me this. He presented me with this method because he knew that not only did I want to be a missionary when I was a little girl, but I love to teach people. I love to stand on stage and present and inspire people. So he's given me a gift where I can do all of that. Right. How freaking amazing is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, like, the expense of my husband, that still F's me up sometimes.
Right. It wasn't the most ideal way you would
exactly. But you know what? I'm human. And sometimes I get into that place going, God, I had to do this stuff at the expense of Frank dying. I miss him. I love him. But I'm doing great things in the world.
But what would you be doing now if he was still alive?
Right, exactly. Right? Probably still.
Do you ever question that?
No, I don't look at that anymore.
No,
I used to, but I don't look at it anymore because there's no point. You know what I mean? There's no point in looking at it. That will never happen. Right. Like, a miracle would have to happen for Frank to come back from the dead, and that just doesn't happen. So I never focus on things that aren't real. Yeah. And I just am guided by faith. And, I know that when people come to our grief talks, when people call me or message me, I know that all of those people were led to me, because, again, this is a purpose far greater than me. I didn't choose this life. Right. I didn't choose to be a widow. I didn't choose, I did choose to go to the Grief Recovery Institute, but again,
you didn't choose for it to have the impact it's having on you.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but that was presented to me by a higher being. Like, that wasn't just like Dar going, I'm going to go find this institute. Mm-hmm. Like, that was placed in my lap by someone who obviously was sent, like Frank or God or, Yeah. So I always know that when things happen in my life, it is not by chance. Coincidence. Things always happen because they're meant to happen. Mm. People cross your path because they're meant to cross your path. People leave your life because they're toxic or they're being removed for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've told people who I know who I probably won't see for a while. I always tell them, like, we'll cross paths again. Mm-hmm. Like, there's going to be a reason why we need to cross paths again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And journeys are crazy. Yeah. I just joined a martial art recently, and I'm learning about that sort of. I'm learning about that journey of jiu-jitsu. Cool. And it's changed my life in like many different ways, of the way I think of myself, my capabilities, of the points that I can push my body to exhaustion or my mind, and the journey is very, very, very. Besides all that, the physical stuff. It's the mental journey that piqued my interest and why I keep going back, keep going back.
Right.
I'll pay for this class to keep me on this pace to find why I'm so curious in this journey.
Right, because it's not just rolling on the mat.
Right.
There's discipline.
Right.
And there's discipline not only of the body, but of the mind, to your point, right? And so you're learning so many different things while you're doing that stuff. And it's amazing. I mean, come on, all of these different martial arts, there's a reason for them, right? There's so much connection of mind, body, and soul with all of them.
Yeah, and there's reason why a lot of them who are like at the highest levels, they can kill you, but they don't.
Yeah, right. Right. Exactly. Their technique.
You just come into peace with yourself. I mean, leveled, right? I mean, the balance and the balance between life and mind and body. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm a white belt, but it's I'm not worried about belts. You know, I'm more concerned about what it's doing to myself and my mind.
Right. Yeah. And again, it's challenging yourself, right? We always need to challenge ourselves and not stay complacent at comfort. You know, that's another thing that I've learned through this whole personal development journey that I've been doing is you need to be comfortable with uncomfortable, right? That's the only thing you should be comfortable with is being uncomfortable.
Right. Discomfort brings growth.
Right. Exactly. Because you'll stay stagnant if you just stay in this place of, complacency, or comfort, so that's why change.
But Dar, I live here on Guam. There's nothing here for me. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to grow? How am I supposed to be?
Well,
and put myself in an uncomfortable position.
Right. So those are all choices, right? Yeah, you are on Guam. See, that's where I was at, dude. I was on Guam. I wasn't feeling like I was growing. I had to lean into my fear of going out into the world by myself because it was always Frank and Dar or the kids with me and feel uncomfortable with all of this stuff if I wanted to grow. And trust me, it was the hardest thing for me to ever have to do was to leave this island. This is home. This was mine and Frank's home. We built our family here for 24 years. So for me to just go, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready. Everyone was like, where are you going? What are you doing? I didn't really have a really big plan. I didn't. I was just like, I gotta go, guys, because I'm not growing here. And I know there's something out there for me. I'm not sure what, but I'm going to find it, and it's been an amazing journey, Boo. Let me tell you, like I, went out there and I made all these connections before I left. I didn't just go, I'm going to go. Before I left, I was building connections on LinkedIn. That's why I was so passionate about LinkedIn. I built all these connections on LinkedIn, and then I started to actually meet them in person. And, we started to collaborate. I'm a co-host on a podcast. I was doing some projects around HR with some other people. We did different things on LinkedIn around like sexual harassment and all of these different things. And these were with real human beings that I just met on LinkedIn that, I was able to collaborate with. But if it wasn't for that community saying, Dar, you need to come closer, like we want to be able to work with you more. You need to come closer. I'm like, what is it out there? Right. I mean, even though I've made all these connections, can I do this?
Yeah.
But I knew, like I said earlier, 165,000 people on Guam, 7.2 billion people in the world. Grief recovery, self-discovery. Where do I want to go with this? And at the end of the day, it was all about finding myself, like the Darlene or the Dar without the Frank, leaning into my fear, being uncomfortable with everything that I was doing, and just killing it wherever I went, and I needed to do that without my family trying to protect me. There was this bubble around me here on Guam, and I loved them to death. But everyone knew Dar's safety, Dar's protector was Frank. And now that he's not here, we all gonna come and take his place.
Right. I'm here.
Right. And so for a while, it was nice. I needed it because I was always scared to be alone in everything that I did. But there came a point where I was like, okay, guys, I need to fly. Like, I've got my wings and they're ready to go. Like, get out of my way, you know? And so that's what I did. I had to just lean in, dude. And I just had to do it. And wherever it led me, that's what it was going to be. And so much has happened since then. Amazing stuff. And I'm not done. That's why I'm going back, you know?
So what's next for you now? I mean, you've been doing the grief talks while you're here, and then when you go back, it's back to.
So when I go back, so now that I'm certified in the 2-day weekend workshop, if you will, that's what I'm actually going to be launching now. So I was doing like online clients because of all the travel that I did, and the online clients were all 1-to-1. And I'm really more of a group person because that's kind of what I did in my corporate space. Was I taught, you know, leadership and things like that. And I like teams, right? I like to be around people. So now that I can do that, I'm really fired up about it. I'm actually going to go and launch them in different parts of the world, which is amazing. And then, like I said earlier, I'm going to build up my speaker profile and start getting myself booked on stage and start talking about self-love and grief and human emotion, whatever else you want me to talk about.
Pretty soon you're going to write a book.
Yes, that is definitely on my list.
Yeah?
Is to write a book for sure. I just don't know yet what. You know, there's a couple of different things that I'm kind of playing around with. One of the things I didn't talk about with you is
definitely your journey. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But one of the things I'm passionate about too, man, I was talking about how we want to like go into different like organizations and all, you know, the schools, vets, you know, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But the one space that I'm really passionate about for me personally is the corporate space.
Okay.
Because when I was grieving the loss of Frank, I had amazing support for the first month. And then after that, everyone was like, okay, we want the old Dar back. When are you going to travel? When are you going to train? When are you going to do negotiations?
Right.
When are you going to be ready to fire people?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
It's business as usual.
Right. It's like, you know, we want that person back. Like, you need to hurry up and stop staying stuck in this place that you're in. And they didn't get that I was not ready to do all those things. Like, I needed to go slowly because all of it didn't seem familiar to me. It all seemed very strange. It was the weirdest thing. I walk into work after 3 months after Frank died. I've been at this company for over 20 years and I felt like a new employee walking in for the first time.
Did you feel like people were looking at you differently?
Yeah. Okay. I felt like people were looking at me different, but I also felt like I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. Like, I wasn't comfortable in working with people. I wasn't comfortable in my work. I felt like I wasn't like completely mentally there yet. And so what I learned was that as leaders in organizations, we do fairly decent at giving people time off when they need to take care of grief, bereavement, you know, things like that. But we're not good at all at when they come back to work and that transition back to work from a grief event. And it's not just about the death of a loved one. Your employees could be suffering from divorce. Your employee could be suffering from an adolescent that's going wild, right? Your employee could be suffering from health issues that we're reprimanding them for because they're calling in sick all the time.
Yeah.
So there's so many different losses out there that when we as leaders in organizations do not support or have compassion for our employees as they're going through these personal things in their life, they now become bad employees in the minds of the organization because now they're not producing the way we want them to produce. Their motivation has gone down. They're making too many mistakes. So we're just going to manage them out until we fire them. That's the mentality of leaders in corporate organizations. So I'm passionate about getting into these spaces and helping them develop what I call a grief and loss program versus a bereavement policy. Because it's not about how many days you give me off work.
Right. Yeah, you get 5 days bereavement.
Right, exactly. Good. It's like, but I'm Catholic and we have 9-day rosaries.
Right. And if we're really old school, we do 18 days.
Right. Yeah. You know, so, I mean, it's stuff like that. So it's not about the time off because you know what? They're out of sight, out of mind. You have no idea what they're going through. Most often they're dealing with family and working through funeral arrangements and things like that, right? That's for the death. What about those that it's not a death? All those other things that I mentioned to you. Yeah. They're coming to work and they're trying to manage their emotional, you know, baggage, if you will, that they're going through while trying to maintain their performance because they need their job. They need that paycheck. Right. But they're screwing up because they've got too much going on in their life. And we don't get it as leaders. And I was in HR. I felt like shit. That was one of the reasons why I didn't like myself very much, is because I was like, wow, what a bad boss was I? You know, like I look back and I'm going, how many people do we terminate? How many people did we discipline because of, something that they were going through in their life? They suffering from some sort of illness, or their kids or their family members suffering from illness. So they're calling in sick. And oh, sorry, we only have a 8-day attendance policy over a calendar year. You reached 9, so now we're going to terminate you.
Yeah, or leave without pay.
Yeah, or leave without pay. And who could afford that?
Right. Now financial loss.
Right, exactly. It's more stress. So it's compounding on top of that. So really, my passion is about getting into the corporate space and teaching leaders how to recognize those signs and how to be a more compassionate leader so that they can be there. Like, if you are there for your employee when they need you the most in those critical times of their life, they're damn well going to be loyal and committed to you when all of that shit is done.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. But if you don't recognize it, or you don't give them that safe space to be able to tell you, because they may be afraid of retaliation or that you're not going to be compassionate enough, so they just hold it in, then you're never going to know. And then you're just going to think that they're a bad employee. You don't ever hire a bad employee, right? You hire me because I did damn well in my interview, or I have all these credentials that you needed in your organization. So you hired the best of the best. So what happened? Something happened. Again, it goes back to the core.
Yeah.
Why are we not getting to the core? Why are we just hitting the surface?
Yeah.
So it's always at the core.
It's definitely evolved from you. I mean, or being for you, because in our last conversation, you mentioned the same exact thing. There's no emotion in corporation.
Yeah.
And to have to insert that into corporation, it may be tricky, but it's doable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, I get door slammed in my face all the time, but, it's cool. Like, I'll just keep working it until somebody listens to me. And I've got a few that have already listened. In fact, we've got a few on Guam that amazing, that these corporations, Bank of Guam is one of them. Now they've got a grief recovery specialist in-house. One of their HR people is a specialist because of a conference that my team had done.
Is it typical for corporations to have like counselors and stuff like that?
No. They have what they call EAP, which stands for Employee Assistance Program. And that's usually outsourced. So they hire, like an outside vendor so that their employees can call a 1-800 number.
Yeah. Watch this video,
someone.
Fill out this checklist.
Yeah.
Email it, and then
just call
someone will get back to you.
Yeah. And, so where's the human connection there?
Right.
Where's the compassion? Employees don't want that. And that's why, like, even sometimes where organizations will say, Darlene, we're not good at this stuff. Can you come in? We just had an employee that died and now everybody's grieving. Okay, I said, first of all, they don't know me. I'm a stranger. Boots on the ground, they need you because you're their leader. They trust you. They want you to be there for them and support them. Right. And you're grieving as well. So you need to be transparent and let them know I am hurting too. But they don't want to listen to no stranger telling them how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's how impersonal it is. Right. It's like
exactly.
It's like the leader of a country hiding out while everything's going. I think the Tsar Nikolai Romanov, right?
Yeah.
He was ridiculed because while Russia was going through their shit,
right?
He split St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And he went to outside of St. Petersburg, and while everything was going crazy, he was hiding away
because he didn't know how to do it.
Right.
Stuff like that is uncomfortable for anybody, and I get that. I get it. But so what we've done when stuff like that happens, when it's really big and it impacts everybody in the organization, is we give them like a cheat sheet. We tell the leaders, these are the things that you can say to your employees. These are the things that you can help them do to do self-care. These are the behaviors that you need to be looking out for. And then call us in like 2 weeks and let's see where you're at. Because we don't want to be the stranger coming in.
First response.
It's like they're going to look at you, leader, and go, wow.
Yeah.
You didn't care enough for us that you had to bring a stranger in to tell us this? Like you couldn't just like be here with us?
Right.
No, you don't want to do that. So we always say, no, sorry, we're not going to be your boots on the ground. But we will give you this. And if you've got someone that's really, really struggling, you have our number, give them our number. And then they can call us or we can come in, but not initially. Like you do not want, you're going to hurt your organization more than you're going to help them.
Right.
Right.
You need the morale to push through that situation.
Yeah. You need to be in your truth, be honest. I am grieving them too. Like that was my employee. Talk about them. This is what I loved about them, blah, 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 this and that, right? It's like you look around the room. Okay. You know what? We can't have everybody go home. But, those of you that were the closest to him, if you feel like blah, 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 whatever. So you come up with like a plan, a strategic plan to be able to help your employees as you navigate through this process. But there's never a one program or structure fix all for every organization. It's got to be customized for the type of operation that you're running, how many people, but also recognizing that grief is individual to each person. You have to be able to, be flexible with everyone. Be flexible. You have to. People go, oh, we the operation still has to run. Absolutely, I get that. I do get that. But man, when you've got someone that died in your organization, like if you can cut hours, if you can let X amount of people go home, if you can ask your customers, because trust me, customers are human beings too. They will get it. Hey, you know what? One of our employees just died. We're all going through a tough time. Is it okay we get back to you in a week with this proposal? Will that hurt to ask?
Yeah.
They're human beings too. But people think that they just got to do the black and white shit and not deal with the emotions. That's You're going to fall and you're going to crash sometimes if that happens. And you don't want to do that.
Yeah, especially from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's tricky sometimes. But I think that if you're just in your truth and you're honest about.
Seems like you have the template though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, it's just about being compassionate, being empathetic, being nurturing, being loving to people, just standing in your truth.
Yeah.
I don't always have all the answers, and I'll tell people that I don't have all the answers for you, man. In fact, I don't have any answers for you. This is what I can do, though. Don't talk about what you can't do. Talk about what I can do.
Yeah.
I can't, if you keep saying, I can't give you the time off. Okay, here's what I can do. When you feel like you're having overwhelming emotions, take a moment. We're going to set up this room for like our quiet room. Go in there, take a deep breath. Take a few minutes. Make sure you let someone know. Like, don't isolate.
Right.
So there's different ideas that we kind of throw at organizations. But again, it's not a one fix all. Because depending on what the situation is, every situation will be unique. But it's just when it hits the masses, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's when it really is tough, when it hits the masses.
Matt, how long have we been going here?
In 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Went by quick.
It did.
That went by really quick.
It really did. Oh, my God. But man, Boo, it's been fun. Like, I totally love like coming on your show and just, like keeping it real, because that's what it's all about.
I really
right?
appreciate it. And once again, you've like I've probably said the word interesting like 15 times because I mean, you shed light on a lot of things that are unspoken.
Yeah.
And you shed light on things that people are possibly afraid of even like thinking about.
For sure.
Right. I mean, speaking it out is one thing, but actually thinking about it is a whole completely other thing. And I'm really astonished on how you have evolved as a person, since the last time we talked.
For sure. Like I think about that too. I'm going, gosh, I definitely have evolved so much. And
talk about transformation.
Yeah, it's all about that self-love journey. I tell you, I would not have this kind of confidence to speak about all of these different things that people prefer not to talk about if I didn't journey down that road, because you have to love yourself unconditionally so that you can really exude that love to others.
For sure.
And that's what I do.
You can only love others as much as you love yourself.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, dude, I love myself. I don't have any problem saying that. It is what it is, right? And it's because of that love that I'm able to just go out there and literally like even people that don't love themselves or look at me and judge me, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I still love you.
Yeah, I feel like I got a free session.
Right? You got a lot.
Live in Matt.
Right? I know. I'll give you guys my invoice.
No, but it's awesome. I mean, just everything you had to say. I feel like people who do listen to this, they'll be gravitated to the things that's said in the beginning all the way to now.
Right. And it doesn't matter where you're at, right? Even if you're on Guam, I've got a team here if you want to work with somebody in person, but I do my programs online, both my coaching and my grief stuff. So they can find me on darlenegarcia.org on my website, or find me on Instagram or Facebook.
What are your handles? Yeah.
So Darlene Garcia on Facebook, both my business page and my personal page is Darlene Garcia, and both are open. On Instagram, it's darlene.garcia_ or our purposeful journey _
Okay.
Either any of those, they can get a hold of me. My purposeful journey, I built that really more for my self-love and the living in the present moment and just kind of where I'm at today. And then of course my regular one, my first one, Darlene Garcia, is really more about the grievers, the healing and things like that. And then Facebook is just open to everything. So yeah, so that is me, all globetrotter all around the world. I'll be back in November though.
Okay. And if you want to do another one, just let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But thank you.
We can't let it go 3 years.
I know, right?
Back on. There was a lot to digest. Your whole transformation. I was like, holy cow! I didn't realize like how long I haven't actually talked to you.
I know, and I didn't realize there was that much stuff too. I'm going, wow, wait, what did we talk about the last time? Yeah, I was just getting my feet wet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Literally, you had just completed the program and come back.
Yeah.
After being gone for a couple months, and then we sat down and talked, and then now you're just. What do you think, Matt?
Crazy.
Yeah. That's what happens when you heal and recover and you find self-love. Anything is possible, dude.
Thank
Anything.
you. Let me shake your hand here. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I really appreciate it, and people will love this.
Yeah. The honor was mine, man.
Yeah. You want to put anything out there while the floor is yours? This is my sort of
again, it's
anything.
Follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's all Darlene Garcia. And our Facebook page for our Guam and CNMI family is Grief Recovery Guam and CNMI. I want to be able to give the compliments and the kudos to my team because they're out here doing all the work out here in the islands while I'm out in the States, and around the globe, just kind of either building up personal development so I can bring it out here to teach them, or sharing grief and building up my own credibility out there as well. So, again, we're here. Grief recovery is not going anywhere, whether we're on the islands or around the globe. We want to help as many hearts heal as we can. And I'm always open. I love to hear people's stories. So direct message me, email me, send me, a calendar, invite on my website, darlenegarcia.org, and let's connect. I want to connect with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you plan on going out to the outer islands?
So when I get back in November, we'll do Saipan. And then early next year, we'll do the rest of the islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, because, we're all Pacific Islanders, but culturally, societally, it's
right.
different. It has its own differences.
It really does. And they've got their own unique type of losses as well in the islands. I'm already starting to learn some of it, just from the ones that live on Guam. And a lot of it is heartbreaking. Okay. Right. So just really quick, the people that are here.
No, take your time. Take your time.
The people that are here, that are from the other islands. I mean, they have such a bad rap sometimes. And, I look at all human beings like good people. And if you are out there because you're drunk or you're doing all these things, I'm not saying that, your grief gives you a get out of jail free card. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we shouldn't judge people right off the bat and really look at why they're going through something like that, right? And be compassionate and want to help instead of judging them or putting them under this umbrella of stereotype. Oh, you're from Micronesia, so you're automatically going to do this. No, That's not true. It's a lot of amazing people that come out of our islands. Island people have the biggest hearts. We know this. right? Island people are welcoming. Like I've been to the other islands, and the first thing they do is they want to welcome you with food and flowers and leis and all of these things, because that's what we do right on Guam. We want to feed you, right? So island people are not bad people. No one in the world they're not bad. We are not born bad, but we've just sometimes had a bad rap. Right. With life.
The reputation precedes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't wait to get out to the islands, because I know that there's so much grief out there. And that's why they have all of these things that they do, their behaviors and things like that cause them to do these things because of grief. And they're masking it through all of these erratic behaviors that they have. They're not bad people.
So. Yeah, I really love how people are reaching out more to the outer islands now. Yeah. My girlfriend's in the UOG Masters program, and they're doing a startup Micronesia.
Yeah,
and they're going all to all the outer islands, and they're all going to do it at one time. Shameless plug.
Yeah,
shameless plug,
yeah, that's fine, man. I mean,
yeah. I think it's amazing though.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing. And when we're unified like that, like I said, there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
When we're unified like that, man, I mean, there's so much power.
Hard to deny.
Yeah, for sure. But, so yeah.
Thank you, Dar. Let's cut this out so we can go chow and. But thank you. It was very educational, very enlightening, and thank you all. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know Matt did. I saw Matt shaking his head, a bunch of like his head was nodding like, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But thank you all for listening to another episode of the podcast. Episode 200 is coming up. You'll hear everything in the end roll coming up. And yeah. I hope this episode was as enlightening for you as it was for me. And until next time, Maddie loves you. I love you. And thank you, Dar, once again.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
And everybody, peace out. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the podcast with Darlene Garcia. Shout out to the sponsor, Ada's Mortuary. They are a small family-owned and operated mortuary that's been serving this island community for 45 years. Ada's Mortuary, they are large enough to serve, yet small enough to care. Episode 200 coming up. If you're interested in checking it out, DM me on all the social media platforms and find out more information. Support us on Patreon. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast. And most of all, thanks so much for helping us get this far on the podcast. Almost to 200 episodes. Thank you. You are the baddest.